I want to talk about a controversial topic, and it's good to run a test first. I'm going to show you a video. Don't look yet. I want to show you a video, and I want you to tell me what you see, because it's a regular, you could consider it an eye test or an eye check or something.
I've been eating some carrots.
You may look.
Oh dear.
This is from GTA 6.
I can't wait not to play this.
Well, let's be fair here, right? Okay. I've seen a lot of people get annoyed about this, but GTA is explicitly, and I just made a segment before on how GTA 6 will probably be not very good, but if GTA is supposed to be an overt caricature of American culture, and particularly the culture that pops up in American cities, especially if we're talking about Miami, which is what Vice City is supposed to be, okay, this isn't even exaggerated. This is just accurate.
This could just be a documentary.
Yeah,
all you need is some over-the-top narration, and then you're there.
If you're going to get annoyed over GTA 6, I think this is the least objectionable thing about it.
I just found the
horrifying visual of it.
I just found the gameplay of GTA 5 to be boring, and I think that Rockstar's going down the route of spectacle over substance, so I'm just not interested from that angle. The fact that they boasted about, look at all the women that work for us, and then they fired all of the people who did good stuff. That's also enough.
So you are basically looking at a woman twerking on top of a car in motion.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Great. Okay, you passed the test. Now, we can pause the video.
Hi folks, we've rolled out a new feature on the website, which is the ability to pay for an individual piece of content. So usually it's £5 a month every month to subscribe to all of the content on the website. But I appreciate there are going to be people who simply don't want to do that. They would be interested instead in purchasing a single piece of content for a lower amount, and they've got a particular niche that they're interested in watching. And so they don't want every single piece of content. They just want this one thing. So we've introduced this function where you can just simply purchase the one thing for £1.89, which I think is about $2.30 at the current exchange rates. And then that's just yours forever. So there's no sort of commitment there. There's no rolling subscription. It's just that one thing. So that's an option now that's on the website. It's completely live. It's completely available. And please go and enjoy it. And we'll see you all very soon.
Yeah.
And I want
to move on. Yeah, I don't want to see it. Has anyone got any bleach for my eyes?
Yeah. So basically, I like doing that to you, I must say. Yeah.
Do you torture us? I thought I was the evil one in the office, but you've really usurped.
I like sending random videos to my colleagues and stuff. Okay. Anyway, so there's a lot of talking about the political compass test, and people take the test. I have never taken it, but basically, what happens is that you are presented with some questions. These questions are supposed to require answers that show up your beliefs, and there's a kind of calculation of where you fall on that particular area of the political spectrum. So I want to describe you a character and ask you to locate that character within that political compass test. So the character I'm thinking of thinks that, number one, everything boils down to race, not the content of people's character. Number one.
Martin Luther King. Sorry.
Number two, thinking that the person I have in mind thinks that some people should not be allowed access to some goods because of their racial characteristics. Furthermore, he or she thinks that some need preferential treatment because they are of a particular race. Belief number three, this person believes that criticism should be silenced because it violates the humanity of members of a particular group that is to be treated as special. And belief number four, this person thinks that people of a particular race are not in touch with humanity and need to be corrected to beat out their metaphysical essence out of them. Now, where would you locate that person in the political compass test?
This man sounds like a race commie to me.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some sort of left-wing authoritarian, I would imagine, right?
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Ibram X. Kendi.
Who else was it going to be?
Of course.
That's
a train.
That's a video comment, John.
Ibram Kendi is looking a bit different these days.
Yeah, I don't
there
think
he is.
White people worldwide have really reckoned with how much their own personal identity is shaped by constructions of whiteness, and how much that construction of whiteness prevents white people from connecting to humanity. In other words, recognizing that when you recognize that you are part and parcel of humanity, in other words, you're not over humanity, right? It allows you to really be able to connect to people who don't look like you, who have kinky hair, who have dark skin, and to see yourself in them. And it's whiteness that prevents that, right? And when you're not able to see yourself in other human beings, that creates all sorts of problems. But not just societal problems, personal problems. That I think hopefully this film and this work will liberate those folks from. So I think it's liberating all the way around, right? I think it will liberate, really all of us, because, we've all been told a lie about ourselves and other people.
Ooh.
We're being too polite. We're not talking through the applause.
That man gets paid 40 grand per speaking appearance.
He's such an articulate scholar, isn't he? I mean, he's saying those words like they've just appeared to him in his head just then.
When we were, ending the slave trade, that was because we saw ourselves not as part of humanity, couldn't see the humanity in anybody who didn't look like us.
Well, he's basically saying that white people don't have empathy, is the long and short of it. Is that
whiteness means lack of empathy.
Well, what does humanity mean in that statement that he was making? It means giving Africans free things.
Yeah, I mean, because we don't give Ibram X. Kendi all of our money, we don't have...
People give him loads of money.
We don't have empathy. And never mind the fact that, basically European moral standards have become the high watermark of humanity. Ignore that, it's not that, human rights abuses are going on in Africa far, far more than they are in Europe. But, that's inconvenient, isn't it? But sorry, do carry on.
So I want to say, because, I constantly see things about Kendi and people who play the anti-racist card. And I want to say that because I'm not principally involved, I normally don't talk about it. But when he is saying things like, all white people are bad, or all whiteness worldwide, as he said.
All Hutus are bad.
Well, I mean, it kind of becomes a non-US specific thing. And if you think of the craziness of leftist movements nowadays, for instance, movements like Queers for Palestine or feminists pro-Islam and stuff like that, it is something that becomes an issue worldwide, because everyone is seeing things, or at least the left worldwide sees things through the lens of a particular conflict in the US with a specific history, and interprets everything through that. So I want to say that, it's really interesting, because if someone else said things like that, and was white, for instance, what would people say?
They wouldn't get a Netflix documentary, that's for sure.
They wouldn't get a Netflix documentary.
Well, actually, he might, but not a positive one.
Yeah. They would be cancelled, and you could say that they resemble, the followers of a man with a mustache. But Kendi says it, and suddenly it's okay.
Have you noticed how smug that lady looks at the end of him saying that, by the way? I've just clocked that. The video is still up, and
the whole thing is smug.
Just like,
they know that they've got power on their side. They know they've got big money on their side. So why not be as smug as possible about it all?
Yeah, and anyway, so the idea is that you're not over humanity and stuff like that. It resembles dangerously this obsession with locating one group, demonizing it, and constantly saying, for instance, and leading to a culture that says that members of that group should have no right, and any right that they claim for themselves is an instance of hate against all the rest. I think that it's absolutely ridiculous. This is dangerous rhetoric, and frankly, I'm pissed off that he gets away with it, and he also gets a Netflix documentary. But you wouldn't expect more from Netflix documentaries nowadays.
I'm surprised Netflix even employs any white people at all the way they're going.
And basically, whiteness here is used as a synonym of evil, because if you pay attention at what he's saying, he's basically saying that whiteness prevents people from putting themselves in other people's shoes, which is exactly as you said, is lack of empathy, which is a cross-cultural problem throughout history. Just saying all of that is responsible.
I think
whiteness is responsible for all of that is just, honestly, is just nonsense.
I think it applies the least to white people, because of course you get the case of people in particularly Anglosphere countries. There have been studies done on group preferences, and white people seem to score the highest on out-group preference, which is an explicit preference for people outside of your racial group. So how does that work?
Anyway, speaking of humanity and dehumanization,
I would like to say I do not consider that explicit preference for outgroups to be a good thing, and I doubt you do either.
I thought that was implicit in it. Yeah.
So, speaking of humanity and dehumanization, you can visit our website and check the latest symposium I did with Harry, where we talk about Kant's categorical imperative, and as he's talking, the idea of viewing humans as ends in themselves doesn't seem to be someone who fits Kendi's box. Anyway, and I want to say also one other thing. You should also watch Contemplations 148, the debate we had on liberalism, because this is an issue, again, of skin suiting. Don't focus on the rhetoric, on how Kendi talks. And he says, oh, here I'm talking about to protect your emotions and all this. His agenda is incredibly bad, okay? And it shouldn't be tolerated. His agenda shouldn't be tolerated. And the fact that he says it in a way that may seem more palatable than other people would in the past doesn't make the content of what he says any less dangerous or ridiculous. So, you can definitely check this liberalism debate part 2, because we are talking to a large degree about skin suiting and the difference between rhetoric and action, and the fact that just because someone says that I'm here to do good doesn't mean that they're good.
The sexual tension in this thumbnail is unbearable.
I look very strange in that thumbnail.
So,
very unflattering.
We have here a tweet by one Yiru Noya, I think. They spent ages defending their eradicate whiteness and abolish whiteness slogans by claiming it doesn't mean white people, it just means white supremacy. Now they're saying whiteness is something that prevents white people connecting to humanity. Sinister, evil ideology. It is.
Very true.
It is very true, and it does resemble, I'll say that again because it has to be repeated, because that's the main point, that when we are talking about, some of the very extreme movements who are and their practice, what they did repeatedly was singling out a group and implying that group needs to have no rights, and that group needs to be corrected, and any claim of that group to have rights is essentially something that is violating humanity or things like that. So this is sinister drivel. The question is, why is Kendi doing that right now?
You beat me to it.
Yeah?
I wasn't playing a tiny violin. That's to signify money.
So I did a segment about it in late September, and I want to show you something that happened in his anti-racist research center at Boston University.
Did it succumb to whiteness?
He was accused of whiteness, essentially.
Oh my God.
So
Kendi, you keep showing up to presentations
Sean
all the time.
King of the whiteness world.
This is from the Daily Free Press. Amid mass layoffs, Boston University Center for Anti-Racist Research accused of mismanagement of funds and disorganization, among other stuff.
Wait, you mean a race grifter's mismanaging money? That's never happened.
Look at this here.
He's got to fight whiteness somehow.
3 years later, after at least $43 million in grants and gifts, and what sources say has been an underwhelming output of research, the Center
If I know the figures myself, I believe it was zero research is what I heard.
The Center for Anti-Racist Research laid off almost all of its staff last week.
Hooray.
Anyway, so I said in that back in that segment that I feel a bit ambiguous about this because
You feel bad for Kendi?
no. Wait, let me just say
He was
this.
doing such good work.
Wait. I'm not feeling bad for Kendi, but I'm not feeling bad about the people who donated money either.
Oh, was it a donation thing? Was it?
Yeah, and in grants and gifts,
But
43 million.
That could have gone to productive stuff. That could have gone to
Yeah,
research grants to cure cancer. or something
Imagine
like
expecting research from someone who basically tells you that they already know everything. This person already has said that any racial disparity is down to racial discrimination. So what is the research? Why do you need research? If you operate in that framework, all you're going to talk about is just economic egalitarianism and social goods egalitarianism. So he is actually telling them that there's nothing to research. And they gave him $43 million. So obviously...
I have nothing to research, by the way.
If you'd like to send us money.
Yeah, now give me 43 mil.
So people were pissed off. So maybe this explains the documentary, the Netflix documentary, because they were saying that the research output wasn't...
He's got to get some money somehow, and Netflix are probably going to throw it at him, aren't they?
Yeah, wasn't particularly good.
If you have Netflix, cancel it. For goodness sake, don't pay Netflix. I refuse.
So, I want to talk to you about the accusation, because you see that this is a rhetoric that basically spills over throughout the world. As Kendi says, it is worldwide a problem. And we have Greta Thunberg. Could you please click on the profile and just...
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's Greta Thunberg.
Jim Avenger.
Yeah. So, and what she says basically, if you could...
Got a Kenyan flag.
Yeah.
Cursor.
I can do that. Sorry.
She says, I'm the only black member of my gym. The other 3 black people are cleaners, so they probably think I should be cleaning too. I don't see why. No one denied her a membership to the gym. By the way, this is common in Greece.
Fresh cotton crop that needs.
Oh no!
She says. By the way,
I'm saying that's what she thinks.
This is common in Greece. You'll hardly ever find a black person with any other job except cleaning, and most are college educated. Not that cleaning is a bad job, as she says in a thing. You see, this Ron thing is ridiculous. Obviously, she's there in the gym. She's working out. She's flashing her body. Okay, she's taking pictures of herself. No one told her not to go in.
The gym's also pretty much empty by the looks of it. When I've been to the gym, it's been a lot busier than that.
And someone in the comments down noted that there's a guy behind with jeans working.
Oh my God.
That's the real story.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone interview that man. Say, what were you thinking today when you went to the gym wearing jeans?
And anyway, she says, she said all sorts of crazy stuff yesterday, and she had hundreds of followers, an increase of 100 of followers. And she says also, racism is alive and well in Greece. I'm here legally and there is nothing any of you can do about it.
Oh, wow. How racist.
Happy holiday season, y'all. Signed. Her words, Shaniqua the monkey. Her words. Okay? So, you see, I just don't see it. You know, I've lived in Greece for the overwhelming majority of my life. I just don't see it there.
Well, yeah, it probably doesn't go on. It's all in her head, isn't it? It's like a persecution complex. And also, I find it interesting that in her name there, she has the Kenyan and Greek flag.
Oh, anyway, no one is telling her to stay. If she wants, she can basically leave.
I imagine you'll feel a lot more comfortable going to a gym in Kenya.
Well, that's the funny thing, isn't it? Because they always say, "Oh, I'm here because you oppressed me. I'm here because of this injustice. I'm here because of this."
Yeah,
injustice.
then leave.
Yeah,
okay, leave.
What? Yeah, if I'm oppressing you so much, and everything in my own history is some kind of slight against you, why were you so desperate to come here in the first place? If this country is so racist, why are you getting material benefits from being here that I don't have
economic
access to?
Mercenaries with an inferiority complex is what it is.
And you see another thing, though, because this is the whole thing with the left. It's always someone else's responsibility. It's always the state that should be given responsibility to change things. She could basically run a campaign, try to incentivize people join the gym. I'm sure the people who own the gym will absolutely love it. Okay? No one will tell her anything. So I want to end with this one over here to talk about this.
Who are these people? I never see them in
Celebrity
the
news. And it just says, it's just an article from the Celebrity News. Every man Meghan Markle was linked to before marrying Prince Harry, athletes, celeb chefs, and more. And basically,
It's not Ibram X. Kendi, is it?
It's not Ibram X. Kendi. But
That would have been a huge
they,
plot twist.
they say that basically she has a specific group preferences when it comes to her dating life.
Mhm.
Many
maybe-
such cases.
Maybe they could be considered to be
Is it pasty
not
ginger
so
white
legit.
guys?
maybe, yeah,
It's pasty ginger white guys, isn't it?
maybe. I'm deliberately non-committal.
Oh, fair play.
I see the point you're trying to make here. That by noticing the sort of typing,
Yeah.
somehow suggesting that she is in some way racist.
Well, it's like they
by
say.
preferring white. people.
I don't know. I'm just showing you what the U.S. magazine published.
Well, it's like they say, you know, resistance in the streets, oppressed in the sheets.
Yeah. And one thing to just end with this is that this kind of leftist narrative and the progressivist narrative throughout Western countries is basically the same. And there's an issue with the gray area of, let's say, swing voters, because a lot of parties are taking their voters, a lot of voters for granted. And that leads into some cases where there is tyranny of the minority. And this allows groups to basically start screaming and say all sorts of drivel in order to say that basically we need more power and we need preferential treatment.
Well, my favorite thing to point to is the research that suggests that people who are more likely to virtue signal are more likely to be psychopaths and more likely to be motivated by acquiring resources, meaning money. So it's funny that, isn't it? And there's a pretty strong relationship between those things as well. Almost like signaling you're a virtuous victim is a way of getting money.
These days, yes.
I hope you liked the way I started with me treating you to this lovely video.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, cheers.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Brokenomics series, this episode on Japan. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.